Project 2025 is a 922-page document created by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, to serve as a guide for the next Republican president. If Donald Trump defeats Kamala Harris in November, he's expected to use it to set the agenda for the United States moving forward, even though he says he knows nothing about the document, which was created by over 140 of his known associates. The proposal could have a devastating impact on the Department of Education, women's rights, the LGBTQI+ community, and the disadvantaged. Joining us to talk about the impact of Project 2025 are Dynasty Caesar, a community activist, and Melanie McCurtis, Deputy Director and Lead Organizer of the Metcalf Park Community Bridges. Thanks for joining us on Black Nouveau. I'm going to start with you, Dynasty. You have described Project 2025 as terrifying. What in the document is terrifying to you?
Frankly, I think the entire document is terrifying. The way that it's crafted, a document that has 900 pages, is a document that's not approachable for most of our communities to take the time to read it, let alone really grasp the concepts that are within that document, particularly about reproductive rights for women, the over-policing of women's bodies and their ability to miscarry or have abortions. I think there are things, particularly the intersection of some of those things and how they affect communities of color, not only when it pertains to education, healthcare, women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights as well, but also the DEI portion of it. And what that does is overlays the issues and the impact that will affect disenfranchised communities.
Melanie, you talked to people in the Metcalf Park community about this. What are you telling them about Project 2025?
Well, the first thing that we've been doing is really sitting with this 900-page document to really try to understand it ourselves. So we've been doing these collective study sessions. We did that throughout the duration of the RNC so we can read and see what's in there. Our first step is just to talk to the community, say, hey, do you even know about this document? What we're seeing is that folks don't even know about it, right? And then we get to the point of, how does this impact you right now in your daily life, and how would it impact you? So that's really what we've been focusing on, is just to do the outreach and engagement and make people aware that this is in the works, right? And this is how it impacts folks and what is important to folks. And what we're seeing, because Metcalf Park is in a super Black neighborhood in Milwaukee, all of these issues impact them, their family members, their friends, some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Dynasty, Project 2025 authors say under diversity, equity, and inclusion, every aspect of labor policy became a vehicle to advance race, sex, and other classification to discriminate against conservatives and religious viewpoints. How do you respond to that?
It's really a challenge when we find that our country sees not only political parties as being in conflict, right? That's a vastly different thing if you're running for office. But when you're pitting regular everyday citizens against one another based on their race or their gender and saying this is divisive in nature, it means that the party that's saying that has a different agenda or a different perspective on how we unify the country. It doesn't seem like we're focused on unity at all, perhaps a different agenda. But when you're saying that the issues that supporting those who have been historically disenfranchised is divisive or affecting communities that have not been, who historically have had systems set up and developed to support their success, it feels like we're headed back to 1960. And I'm concerned again about how our communities will navigate through that now, having difficulty over generation after generation of even having to prove that there's discrimination. Now those things are being removed, and the support that we've had there to help us be able to compete or function in society are now being removed, and said that these things are, again, creating barriers for those who are already historically successful.
Yeah, Melody, you mentioned that you're going to form these group meetings. What would those meetings look like and sound like?
Yeah, so like collective study circles, right, where community members are coming together, to really separate this plan and really teach each other and read with each other and learn with each other how this impacts them. When Dynasty says that it feels like we're going back to 1960, it's almost like progress, all progress that's been made is rolling back, right? And if folks are already struggling right now with the way our country exists, and if we roll things back, what shape will we be in? So folks are really trying to get ahead of this by understanding what is at stake, right? And the way to do that is to be aware. And we got to be aware by educating ourselves, because this plan has been in the works not just this year, right? They formed this plan in the 80s, right? And we're seeing some of those things in the plan, especially around policies being rolled out.
Yeah, before we leave, I want to outline some of the Project 2025's potential impacts on African Americans. Like, I'm just going to throw out a couple of things. I want you to respond to it. For instance, giving employers the opportunity to no longer pay hourly overtime to our hourly workers. What impact would that have on Black people?
You want to go first?
Yeah, there has been a great fight to get folks a livable wage, right, that has not been successful, right? So then to add, you're going to be overworked to that and underpaid. What is that doing to somebody's mental health, their physical health, their life expectancy, right? And when folks in my community are working these jobs that don't even pay a livable wage, to then have to work more hours and not be paid for that time, that's a detrimental blow to the entire family.
What about this one? The $35 insulin price cap instituted by President Joe Biden.
When you think about, again, the health determinants in Black and brown communities, specifically in the Black community, and how hypertension and diabetes are really taking a toll on our communities, to change that cap is now affecting our communities directly. One thing that I neglected to mention about this plan is that we forget that Black and brown folks are not the only folks that experience poverty. And I would hope that white communities understand that your circumstances could change at any point. This plan is not to support just, this plan seemingly on the surface is easy to say that it would help white people be more successful, and that is true. But we also have to be mindful of, white people need to be mindful of their circumstances changing, right?
Got it. Well, I appreciate you both being on, and this is a conversation we have to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.